Swing and a ground ball stabbed by Folk. He has it. He underhands to first, and the Boston Red Sox are the world champions. For the first time in 86 years, the Red Sox have won baseball's world championship. Can you believe it?
Welcome back, everybody, to the Fenway Files. My name is Tyler. Thank you for joining us tonight. I wish that I had better things to talk about when it comes to the 2025 Boston Red Sox, but here we are again, still in fourth place, still a losing record right now. We're sitting at 29-32, fourth place in the division. The only good thing that happened out of the last two series is the fact that we've won one of them. It's kind of hard to talk positively about that fact when we got swept in the first series, but I will get to that in a little bit. We do have some important news. It was only a matter of time. Everybody, baseball fans alike, were all saying the Red Sox have the best prospect in Major League Baseball. Why aren't you calling him up? Well, finally that happened. Nate Eaton was called up to play for the Major League Baseball team. If you thought I was talking about Roman Anthony, I wish I was talking about Roman Anthony, but no, Nate Eaton, outfielder, was called up to play for the Boston Red Sox. Why? I don't know. Your guess is better than mine. It could literally be for any reason. But it's not Roman Anthony, and I don't understand why it's not Roman Anthony, because Roman Anthony would be the second best player on the Boston Red Sox if he was on the roster today. Basically the second best. We do have a couple of pretty important injuries, all to our bullpen, which really sucks because our bullpen is already shorthanded as it is. Right now, Justin Slayton is down on the 15-day IL, but thankfully it only seems to be precautionary. It doesn't seem to be a serious confirmed injury. There's no inflammation or anything. It's honestly just fatigue, according to all reports. Liam Hendriks, on the other hand, we will probably not be seeing him for another couple of weeks. So he's on the 15-day IL, but it's probably going to be closer to 4 weeks, maybe even a month. He has inflammation in his throwing shoulder, so who knows? That could be you slept on it wrong, something's going on. Or it could be, oh no, I'm hurt and I'm going to need time. So Slayton hurts a little bit more than Hendriks because Slayton has been, for the most part of the season, fantastic. Liam Hendriks, we'll get to later, not fantastic. So, but because of those injuries, our bullpen is banged up, down a man already. Now we're down two men. Nick Birdie was called up from AAA, but that doesn't really handle the situation. Luis Guerrero did get called up to fill in one of those spots, but you're still down a man. The reason why you're still down a man is because we traded Sean Newcomb, the person who basically ate all of the garbage innings in all of the games we were getting blown out in. He was the knight in shining armor for this Red Sox team up until this point. If we needed length out of a bullpen arm, he was the person who got called up. He was the person who would go 4 or 5 innings when we were down by 10, when Lucas Giolito or Brian Bayo were getting their tits lit up. I mean, when Sean Newcomb came into the game, it was basically like a white flag, but he gave you solid major league innings, and you traded him to the Athletics for cash considerations. What were we thinking? I understand that they feel like Hunter Dobbins can kind of fill in that role now that Richard Fitz is back from the IL, but I would much rather have Sean Newcomb sitting in AAA waiting for an injury to happen, because we are, our rotation is already banged up as it is. Yes, Walker Buehler just came back. Yes, Brian Bayo just came back. Yes, Cutter Crawford is going to be starting his rehab stint soon. But you are one injury away from this entire thing getting blown up. So I would have felt better having Sean Newcomb at least sitting in AAA, pitching 4 times, or every 4 days, every 5 days, instead of not having that viable option in AAA waiting for when an injury happens. Because Major League Baseball isn't if an injury is going to happen, it's when and for how long. So the fact that we traded him for basically a McChicken sandwich and a Happy Meal is honestly kind of aggravating. All of that was going on. The Sean Newcomb trade happened right in the middle of the Braves sweeping the Red Sox in Milwaukee. No point in time did I feel like when we had a lead in that series, we were going to win that game. We did not look competitive from first pitch to the final out of Game 3. And one thing that I took away from that series, and also in the following series against the Braves, is the Red Sox are going to pitch Brandon Bernardino until his literal elbow falls off of the bone. There's no reason why in the month of May, Brandon Bernardino needs to be making 18 appearances. That's basically every other game for the entire month of May. There's zero justification for it. Liam Hendricks, even at the beginning of the month, was like, why aren't you using me? And then when you do use him, because he's been rested for a week straight, he's crap. So the fact that they are basically sending out Brandon Bernardino anytime the game's on the line speaks to how great he is as a pitcher, but also how vulnerable our bullpen is with all of these injuries and everything else going on. Aroldis Chapman is our lockdown closer. That's not even a discussion right now. But you can't pitch Aroldis Chapman in the 7th inning when the game's on the line because you still need him later in the game. So in Game 1, Jackson Trios led off the very first pitch of the game, sent that thing into right field, in the right field bleachers. By the start of the 2nd inning, the game was done. Garrett Crochet did get 0 run support, again, which is not surprising, because the Red Sox don't know how to hit or do anything at a professional level when Garrett Crochet is pitching. By the time that, like I said, the 2nd inning was over, the game was done. Game 2, walk-off grand slam by Christian Yelich, because why the hell not? That really, kind of ruined my mood for the remainder of that week, and that was followed up by a second walk-off in Game 3. So, you could make the argument that the sweep by the Braves was, up until this point, the lowest part of the entire season. Because not only do you get swept, but on back-to-back nights, you have a walk-off grand slam and a walk-off single that scored the game-winning run. Unacceptable from a big-market team that should be investing big-market money in a bullpen pieces, and instead we get Rule 5 draft pick Garrett Whitlock and Brandon Bernardino for basically nothing. And Hunter Dobbins, it's your job to basically be the gap filler because we're too cheap to spend money. Yes, we got Garrett Crochet. Yes, he's been unstoppable. Yes, we got Aroldis Chapman. Garrett Crochet cannot pitch every 5 days, and Aroldis Chapman can only pitch every 3 days. So, where's all of the other bullpen help that we have been begging for since 2020? If you just invested a little bit more in this bullpen, Kirby Yates was on the market. The Dodgers basically signed every damn bullpen arm on the free agent market, and there was zero excuse why the Red Sox could not have done that. Now, if players said, oh, I want to play with Ohtani, I get that. I want to play on the West Coast, I get that. If it's I want to go play for the team that gives me the biggest bag, and the Red Sox weren't one of them, that's a problem. That's an ownership problem. That is a John Henry problem. That is a serious thing that needs to be addressed by by ownership, and the fan base needs to stop allowing it to happen. Obviously, John Henry's not picking up the phone and saying, oh, is this a good move? No, obviously not. But if more fans started saying, hey, ownership, what the hell are we doing with all of this money? You charge $95 a seat for bleacher seats for Angels games. Where's my money going? Where's the investment in the team? Because I don't see it. You got Devers, Crochet, and Bregman. Cool. Awesome. Where's the other 23 people on the team? Like, Garrett Whitlock cannot go out there and blow every lead. Like, it's just simply unacceptable that this front office has refused time and time and time again to invest in the offseason in this bullpen. Last season, we didn't invest in the bullpen, and we ended up having to get bullpen arms at the trade deadline, and not a single one of them worked out. Not a single one of them stayed healthy throughout the ending of the season. So, if you made those investments at the beginning of the offseason, like all of the other professional teams in baseball, then there's a chance that we are talking about an entirely different team. And I do also think that the Brewers series was a turning point, not only for Red Sox fans, but I also think it was a turning point for ownership. I think it was a turning point for them because they went from this has the opportunity to be a competitive team to we need to figure out who we are, and if that means calling up the young kids, then so be it. Now, that point really can't be made true in its fullest extent until Roman Anthony's up. But for whatever reason, John Henry and Craig Breslow have no idea who Roman Anthony even is. But I will get to that point much later. But getting to the Brave series, because there is some positives from the Brave series I want to talk about. Game 1, something happened at the end of that Brewer series because coming into Atlanta, Trevor Story actually looked like he knew how to play baseball, which can't be said for the last month and a half of his season. We won 5-1, mainly in part because Trevor Story had a 3-run homer in the middle of that game, and our pitching staff sealed the door the rest of the way. And then Game 2, no surprise, Spencer Schwellenbach, one of the weirdest names in the league, absolutely shoved on his birthday, shut out the Red Sox for the first time this season, and we were, up until that point, the last team in baseball to be shut out. So, obviously, Jared Carrabis has to point that out on 2 episodes ago on Section 10, and of course, speaks it into existence. And then Game 3, today's game, it was Crochet Day. Alex Cora basically told Garrett Crochet, this is your day, you do your shit, you pitch this game the way you want to pitch it. What does he do? Career high 112 pitches, 12 strikeouts, we end up winning 3-1. Like, if our team performed up to the expectations we had of this team, we're talking about a division leader right now. But because Garrett Crochet gets 0 effing run support, he's 4-4 with a sub-2 ERA. You don't understand how hard it is in Major League Baseball to have a sub-2 ERA and not have a winning record as a pitcher. Like, on starting pitcher-wise. Relief pitchers do it all the time. But Garrett Crochet has been the second most dominant pitcher in the American League, and he does not have the win-loss record to show it. He is 4-4 with a 1.98 ERA and like 111 strikeouts. If it wasn't for Tariq Skubal, you're talking about Cy Young winner right there. But unfortunately, wins and losses means a lot, and we don't know how to hit when Garrett Crochet pitches. We don't know how to play defense when he pitches outside of today. But regarding the defense, overall, since Meyer has come up, our defense internally and in the outfield has been spectacular. Carlos Narvaez leads all rookie catchers in defensive run saves, or defensive runs saved, and he's making an argument for AL reserve catcher for the All-Star game because he's been absolutely unbelievable. But like, we got swept out of Milwaukee, 2 consecutive walk-offs to end the series, and then we win a series against the Braves. It's like the most bipolar team I've ever seen. And it's just like, it also speaks to the pure just frustration that not only members in the clubhouse of the Red Sox have, I have the hiccups. but also the fan base. I mean, if you looked at the vibes of this Red Sox team at the end of that Brewers series, you would have thought that Alex Cora beheaded Rafael Devers' dog in the dugout. Like, it looked like somebody died in the middle of Milwaukee. I've never seen something that bad outside of getting beaten in the postseason. But highlight players of the week, because I do have two for this one, Marcelo Meyer and Brandon Bernardino. Without Brandon Bernardino, you don't win the Brave series, and the Brewer series looks even worse. Brandon Bernardino is arguably the reason why this team isn't further behind in the division and less than 5 games back from 500. If Brandon Bernardino gets hurt, I don't know what we're going to do. They're probably going to have, like, Jason Varitek pitch, for all I know, because, like, this team is so reliant on literally 3 arms, Garrett Crochet, Brandon Bernardino, or Aroldis Chapman. One of those 3 goes down, and it's, like, abandoned ship territory for the rest of the season. The reason why I included Marcelo Meyer is because even though his stats don't look great, he has looked like a competent major league player at the plate, taking really long at-bats, driving up that pitch total for the opposing pitcher. Higher pitch total, get to the bullpens a little bit easier, especially when you have arms like Spencer Schwellenbach, Chris Sale, Freddie Peralta, all of these, like, all-stars that you're pitching or hitting against. You need somebody to drive up those high pinch counts. He's also been making a lot of solid contact. His average is a little bit low, but the key area that I wanted to focus in on is his defense. His arm strength and his range at third base has been absolutely spectacular. During the Brewer series, he made one of the best defensive plays I've ever seen from a third baseman since Rafael Devers has been the everyday third baseman for this team. Because Marcelo Meyer has been playing such great defense, defensively, it's making up for Alex Bregman not being in the field. Now, offensively, it can't be the same story. It isn't the same story because there's no one person that can make up for not having an Alex Bregman in your lineup. But the Red Sox are aware that their lineup is very thin without Alex Bregman, and hopefully the damn call-up of Roman Anthony's coming soon. Low-light player of the week, without a doubt, it's Liam Hendriks, and it's not even close. Over his last 6 games, he's 0-2 with an ERA of above 15. He, in those 6 games, has made 6 appearances, and only one of those 6 appearances did he prevent the opposing team from scoring a run. Every other single appearance, it has been either 1 run or more than 3. It speaks to, like, not him as a person, but as a player. I think it's time to just cut your ties with Liam Hendriks, unfortunately. I know that he loves it here. His family loves it here. But unfortunately, that's not a good enough reason to keep you around anymore. Now, he is hurt, as I stated at the beginning of this podcast. So, potentially, the reason for his 15.43 ERA over the last 6 appearances is the fact that he's hurt, but he's basically been hurt the entire time he's been a member of the Red Sox, so I can't really use that as an excuse. I just genuinely think he didn't recover from Tommy John the way that other people do. When you get Tommy John surgery, you are taking a giant gamble. It is not if you get to surgery, everything's going to be fine. It's really a 50-50. You could come back and never throw a baseball again. Or you could come back like Nate Eovaldi and have a better career after Tommy John than before. So, unfortunately, I hate to do it because he is hurt, but Liam Hendriks, you are the low-light player of the week because you brought nothing to the table and are arguably the reason why we lost both of the reason why we got swept out of the Milwaukee series, and you are arguably one of the reasons why this team is 8 games back of the division and 5 games under 500. Speaking of the division, there hasn't really been a lot of movement. The Yankees are still in first at 35 and 22. The Blue Jays are right behind them. Hate the Blue Jays. Kind of pick on my brother a little bit because he's a Blue Jays fan. They're 31 and 28. One of the only times since the beginning of the year that they have been over 500. Between the Blue Jays, Rays, Red Sox, and Orioles, those four teams collectively have probably been under 500 more times, than any other division in baseball. You have the Rays in third place. The Rays are very, very hot right now. They are 7-3 in their last 10. They're 30 and 29, 6 games back in the division. Then you have us, 29 and 32, 8 games back. We are 4 and 6 in our last 10. And then you have the Baltimore Orioles, who are spiraling like the Titanic. They are 22 and 36, 13 and a half games back in the division, but they are 6 and 4 in their last 10. I don't think they're turning the corner. I think they just played bad teams. Moving on to the next segment, and I'm going to spend a little bit more time on this segment than I usually do, simply because I don't think people give this person enough credit for the work he did when he was a member of the Boston Red Sox. So, my Red Sox history blurb is the fact that it is Derek Lowe's birthday. Derek Lowe was born on, why am I blanking? He was born on June 1st, 1973. And not enough people understand how much the Derek Lowe contributed to this franchise, to this team, especially in big spots, in big moments. I will make the argument that without 2004 ALCS, we don't have the story of the 3-0 come from behind victory against the Yankees in that series. Well, a member of the Boston Red Sox, his record was 70 and 55 in 384 appearances, with an ERA of 3.72 and 673 strikeouts and 85 saves. That's over a span of 8 seasons. Starting in that's weird. In 2002, he was used as a starter. From 2000 to 2001, he was used as a relief pitcher. In 2002, he pitched 219 innings, only allowing 166 hits. Now, he did start struggling with hits in the following seasons, but I don't think people are aware at how dominant Derek Lowe was in the 2004 postseason. His statistics in the 2004 postseason are absolutely hysterical. Lost the page. So, Derek Lowe in the postseason. In 2004, and I'm only talking about 2004 because that was the year the Red Sox broke the curse, won the World Series, came back from a 3-0 deficit against the god-awful Yankees. He pitched 4 games in that postseason, and he won 3 of the games that he started. He had an ERA of 1.86 in 19 and a third inning, only allowing 4 earned runs in the entire postseason, and only gave up 3 walks. Without Derek Lowe, you don't get the 2004 World Series, and that is a hill I am willing to die on. I genuinely think that his time as a member of the Boston Red Sox doesn't get the recognition that people like Pedro Martinez or Curt Schilling or some of these other prominent starters get. But if it's not for his performance in Game 7, there's no hope. There's nothing that comes away from that dynasty of the 2000s Red Sox teams. His performance in Game 7 of the ALCS, 6 innings, 1 run ball. He only had 3 strikeouts, so what? 6 innings and 1 run ball against that absolutely insane Yankees lineup in 04 is simply a miracle. So the fact that he was able to perform at that level in the postseason, like, yes, his regular season ERA is a 5.61, I understand that, but the fact that he locked in the postseason when it mattered the most against our arch rival is simply enough to put a statue of him outside of Fenway Park. I really don't care. Okay, this is going to be a relatively short podcast simply because there's only so much you can take away from a sweep and then a series victory. Going forward, we have, in the next 2 series, 3 against the Angels and then 3 against the Yankees. The Angels are an above 500 team, although they're not a great team. Wait. Hold on, I might be thinking of the wrong team. Yeah, no, I was thinking of the wrong team. Sorry. LA Angels are basically an equal record to the Red Sox, but they are 3-7 in their last 10. They are not playing very good baseball. They are 6 games out of their division. They don't know how to win at home, but they're almost 500 on the road. They are playing at Fenway, and I'm actually going to the game on Wednesday. It's going to be my daughter's first game at Fenway. A little bit nervous, actually super nervous if I'm not lying. The weather's supposed to be amazing. It's supposed to be like 85 degrees and very little clouds, so it's like perfect baseball weather. I'm hoping for a big time performance from our offense. Fortunately, I do know who is pitching in that series, and just my luck, because the baseball gods absolutely hate me. As many of you are aware, if you have been following my channel since its inception at the end of February, beginning of March, I can't stand Lucas Giolito. Well, guess who's starting on Wednesday? Lucas Giolito. We have Tyler Anderson versus Richard Fitts tomorrow. Game time's at 7:10. Tyler Anderson is 2-2 with a 3.39 ERA. Richard Fitts is 0-2 with a 2.7 ERA. Richard Fitts is coming back from injury, so I don't expect him to go long into the game. My guess, 4 innings, and then Hunter Dobbins is probably going to come in and eat another 3. I'm not Houdini. I don't know. I don't have a magic crystal ball. Game 2, Tuesday, 7:10. Yasiel Kikuchi versus, I said Yasiel, it's Yasiel Kikuchi versus Brian Bayo. Kikuchi is 1-5, atrocious win-loss record. 3.06 ERA, so clearly it's the offense of the Angels that is not giving him the run support. 58 strikeouts going up against Brian Bayo. 2-1 with a 3.83 ERA. He needs to figure his shit out because he has been extremely inconsistent since he's come back from injury. It's been 1 start, great. 2nd start, can't get past the 3rd. Next start, great. Start after that, can't get past the 4th. And I genuinely think that because of his attitude off the field, Alex Cora has a very tiny leash for Brian Bayo, and I do think that Alex Cora needs to let him go further into the game. The last time he pitched, he was pulled after 78 pitches. Why on earth, with the amount of injuries to this bullpen, would you pull Brian Bayo that early into the game? Now, in Game 3, of course, it's the game that I'm going to, you have Jose Soriano, arguably the second best pitcher for the Angels, who is 4-5 with a 3.41 ERA and 49 strikeouts, going up against, in my opinion, the worst pitcher in the Red Sox organization, Lucas Giolito, who is 1-1 with a 4.78 ERA. His ERA has basically been over 7 the last 3 starts. Outside of that, you have the Yankees for the next 3. I'm double-checking right now, but it doesn't look like no starting pitchers have been announced for the Yankee series. However, if you go back and look at who's been pitching for the Red Sox in the Brewers series, it's most likely Walker Buehler, then Garrett Crochet, and Richard Fitts. No clue who's going for the Yankees because, quite frankly, I could care less about who is pitching for the Yankees. it's probably going to be Max Fried and then, like, bums at this point. I know that, like, Will Warren has been good for them, but outside of that, like, you have Clark Schmidt, but I'm pretty sure he's hurt. But I would much rather watch paint dry than follow the New York Yankees and their absolutely atrocious lineup. The only reason why they are first in the division, A, is because their opponents' strength has not been great. They've been playing a lot of terrible teams, and I think that Yankees-Dodgers series exposes them for the fraudulent team that they are. Now, I'm not going to sit here and yap about the Yankees for the next 20 minutes because I'd much rather, like, literally change all of my daughter's dirty, poopy diapers than talk about the Yankees. So, moving on to my final thoughts. And my final thoughts are going to take a little bit. First, what in the hell are we doing with Roman Anthony? Like, I genuinely think that ownership doesn't know Roman Anthony, A, is a Major League Baseball player, and B, he plays for your damn franchise. His stats over the last, like, 40 games is Barry Bonds worthy. Like, his average isn't at that point, but, like, there is nothing, absolutely nothing that he has done in AAA that tells you, oh, there's no reason why he shouldn't be on this team. Right now, he is batting .305, slugging .500 with an on-base percentage of .435. We need somebody on this Major League team to get on base at that percentage. Like, there is absolutely no reason why he has 8 home runs and 23 RBIs, a batting average of .305, walking at a 20% clip, and he is in AAA. Like any other team in baseball, he would be immediately called up to the Major League roster. There's no excuse, and you can't say, oh, they're waiting for an outfield position to open up. Then why the hell was Nate Eaton just called up? Like, it makes zero sense. And at this point, I'm starting to get very concerned that ownership is going to use a call-up of Roman Anthony as a deadline move. So they don't have to go out and get an established Major League veteran offensive power bat. They're going to sit here and say, oh, we got Roman Anthony, we're fine. Like, yes, I would love to have Roman Anthony called up by the trade deadline, but maybe let's not use him as the fall guy for coming back for the trade deadline. And that leads me into my next final thought about the trade deadline. What are we going to do? Because at this point, I want to say that the Red Sox are going to be buyers, but there's a real chance that if the next 3 weeks don't go well, we are not talking about the same team come September 1st. I genuinely think that if the Red Sox are going to be sellers, Wilyer Abreu and Ceddanne Rafaela are on the table. Now, I know that Ceddanne Rafaela has that contract that obviously is larger than Wilyer Abreu's, but right now, we have a logjam in the outfield, and those positions are available. If we are sellers, Walker Buehler is a person who I think might end up getting traded. I hate even bringing up that, like, this team that I have watched since, like, its inception in 2019, Jarren Duran, his rookie season, getting drafted, all of these homegrown players, Ceddanne Rafaela, Wilyer Abreu, and the Christian Vasquez trade. I mean, there's a chance that Jarren Duran's the only one left out of the Ceddanne Rafaela, Wilyer Abreu, and Jarren Duran outfield, and there's even a real chance that Jarren Duran might get traded if the right offer's on the table. And I've already said it before, if ownership trades Jarren Duran during or before the trade deadline, I am not going to another game. Because, like, I'm a Red Sox fan through and through, but Jarren Duran is somebody who I have emotionally attached to in a way that I have not been emotionally invested in another player in my life outside of Dustin Pedroia. Aside from his mental health concerns. Mine, very, very similar stories to his. But, like, he is somebody who I watched in AAA. He is somebody who I looked up to at, like, going through some really difficult times in my life, especially during COVID. So if he gets traded off this team, I am going to be fuming. I can't even begin to describe it. But I hope that we're going to be buyers, but if this trend of just absolute garbage continues for the Red Sox, there's a real world where we're sellers, and some of these star players on this team are no longer here come September 1st. Unfortunately, I do think that trading Wilyer Abreu, Ceddanne Rafaela, or Jarren Duran creates opportunities for a Roman Anthony to get called up. But I don't think they're trading all three. That would be absolutely asinine. But I think it's going to be one, if not two of them. Getting on to my second to last point, Rafael Devers, if he continues to perform at this rate, going through the month of June, that he did in the month of May, you can keep DH. I don't care. Like, I genuinely don't care if you're preventing Roman Anthony from being the designated hitter for the Boston Red Sox for the remainder of the season. Like, his numbers are absolutely insane. In the month of May, he had a .373 average, 9 home runs, 41 RBIs, and an OPS of 1141. According to Underdog Fantasy on Twitter, Rafael Devers is the first player since Miguel Cabrera in 2014 and the first Red Sox player since Nomar Garciaparra in 1999 to hit .350 with 33 RBIs in the month of May. Think back to the 2014 Miguel Cabrera season. That was his MVP season. That was his Triple Crown season. Nomar Garciaparra, one of the greatest shortstops in Red Sox history. The fact that he's having that level of performance, and according to JP Long, now this was as of May 18th, dating back 21 games into April. Rafael Devers, again, May 18th. Rafael Devers' last 21 games, 7 home runs, 24 RBIs, 47 times on base. The other players to reach those totals over any 21-game span in 2025, there's one, Aaron Judge, one of the greatest hitters in baseball at the moment. The only other Red Sox player in the last 100 years to do that, since 2000 to do that, Manny Ramirez and David Ortiz. That is elite company. You're talking Aaron Judge, Manny Ramirez, David Ortiz, Rafael Devers. That's it. The fact that Rafael Devers had 41 RBIs in the month of May and is leading all Major League Baseball in walks and in RBIs, that's absolutely asinine. He is performing like Barry Bonds at DH. Ever since he basically told Craig Breslow to go fuck himself, he has been the best designated hitter in Major League Baseball. And if he continues to hit like that, he can keep the position. I don't care. I don't care who he is preventing from being called up. Like, those numbers speak for themselves. There's no reason why you need to move him back to third base if Marcelo Meyer is performing that great defensively. Like, yes, he's going to have those struggles offensively, but I don't care because Rafael Devers is kind of making up for it. And my final point, and unfortunately it's going to end this podcast on a sour note, do I think the Red Sox season is finished? Yes, I do. Am I ready to completely give up, shut the podcast down, say I'm no longer invested? No. But do I expect them to have a massive midseason turnaround? No, I don't. I genuinely think that this trend of being 5 to 8 games under 500, getting back to 500 and then falling down again is going to continue. There are going to be ups and downs, but their ups are not going to be overdone by their downs. Their downs are going to drag this team further below 500. and their ups are only going to kind of like be that last gasp of fresh air. Right now, we are 5 games under 500, and I don't see us winning 5 games in a row just to come back to 500. It's probably going to be like 4 games and a loss, and then we're going to win 2 and then lose 3 in a row. So I don't think that playoffs are on the table anymore. The only real opportunity we have to make the playoffs is if we get that final wildcard spot, which, as we saw last year, was on the table until the last 2 weeks of the season. But right now, if we want that last wildcard spot, there are teams that need to have collapses in order for us to get there. Do I think that the Blue Jays are going to continue to play well? No. Do I think the Rays are going to continue to play well? Also no. Do I think that the Red Sox are going to win the division? Absolutely not. The division is no longer in question anymore. Unless Aaron Judge blows his ACL, needs Tommy John, or whatever, there's no chance in hell that this team makes it to the postseason outside of some wild card miracle. Now, if they prove me wrong, you'll hear it here first. But as of right now, wild card not even a question. Division is gone. Like that's done with. I don't think I will be talking about our division chances anymore until the Yankees fall apart. But right now that hasn't happened yet. So right now it looks like my next podcast is probably going to be a week from today, but I will give you guys a little bit of an update. My work schedule changed again. My hours per week went from about 25 to now about 40. So it doesn't look like I will be able to podcast as much as I want to, but it does look like I will have opportunities to scattered here and there throughout the month of June. So I'm going to try and produce as much content as possible. I'll still be tweeting as much as I can. But right now, it looks like next Monday, and then after that, it might be Tuesday. The week after that, it might not happen at all. So I'm going to try to eventually get back to a consistent schedule, but I do thank all of you for your support, for your views, any of those who have commented. If any of my students from Pontiganton see this, I hope you all had a phenomenal rest of your school year. I hope you guys all have a fun, safe summer, and hopefully I see you guys at the start of next school year. So with that being said, thank you guys all for watching. Hopefully the Red Sox can turn things around, but I don't think it's very likely. And have a great rest of your baseball season.